Good morning and welcome to Ark and Dove Presbyterian Church in Odenton, Maryland. I'm Brian Boudreau, the clerk of session here at Ark and Dove, and your host in the lobby, the weekly program about the life and mission of the church. So today is the seventh Sunday after Pentecost. In our ongoing series of Meet Ark and Dove, I will be talking to Bren Budge about her unique journey and how she got to Ark and Dove. But first, the announcements. It's summertime and we have a wide offering of activities for you. It's finally here. Vacation Bible School starts this Monday. So have you registered yet? VBS is Monday, July 12th through Friday, July 16th, 6 to 8 p.m. It's for children pre-K through 8th grade. They're invited to learn how all people are welcome at God's table and joyfully receive and share the good things that God provides. VBS is provided to all children free of charge, but the Christian Ed team would welcome a donation of $5 per child or a gift of supplies to help defray operating costs. Monetary donations can be made via PayPal on Ark and Dove's website. Leaders and helpers are still needed for this program, and any interest or questions can be directed to Sarah Fox. In-person sanctuary worship is every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. We welcome worshipers of all age with masks into the sanctuary with limited attendance. So RSVP to attend worship in the sanctuary. No childcare is provided at this time. Singing with masks is allowed, and the service will be live streamed. So most seats will be on screen for a moment or more. A limited number of off-camera seats will be available, and you can get more details when you arrive. Reservations for outdoor services are no longer needed. Outdoor service will be held every other Sunday. So the next one is July 25th and then August 8th and then 22nd. That starts at 9:15 a.m. So check the homepage of the Ark and Dove website for cancellation due to inclement weather. Out of consideration for other attendees, masks are truly welcome at the outdoor service, but they're not required. Now, don't forget about Summer Sunday School on alternating weeks, the next one being July 18th. This is an in-person outdoor event for rising kindergarten through 8th graders. Masks will be required at this event. Adult Summer Sunday School will take place at the same time. Just drop your kids off and join in the discussion. Pastor John will lead the group in exploring myths of Christianity and busting those myths. So come as you are. There's no homework and no RSVP necessary. Friendly Seniors invites those who are able to a trip to the Walters Art Museum in Baltimore for a cool and educational afternoon on July 22nd. Because of restricted parking and a need to reserve spots, you're asked to let Joan Berry know if you are going to participate and let her know before Sunday, July 18th. They will be carpooling, so let Joan know if you are willing to drive and how many passengers you can take. And for those who prefer to Zoom, the Friendly Seniors will be having an afternoon tea on Thursday, July 15th at 3 p.m. Contact Joan Berry for the Zoom invitation. Now, the Stephen Ministry at Ark and Dove would like to remind you that they are here to help. The Stephen Minister provides care to one person who is experiencing a life-changing event, and supporting each other in times of need is a core belief of our Reformed faith and the Ark and Dove community. Stephen ministers are friends and caregivers who have received training and have supervision and continuing education. So if you think you are someone or you know somebody who would benefit from Stephen Ministry, please contact the Stephen Minister leaders, Kelly Burnett and Lori Vero. The next meeting of the summer book club is July 20th. The July selection is When No One Is Watching by critically acclaimed author Alyssa Cole. Join via Zoom on Tuesday, July 20th at 7:30 p.m. Contact Kim Champagne or Pastor John for the Zoom invitation. The next Gleam team planning meeting will be Wednesday, July 21st at 7 p.m. All are welcome to join. For questions or to receive the meeting link, contact Amy Tardif. The Mission Ministry continues to collect food for the Christian Assistance Program, West County Food Pantry in Severn. Donations can be left at the church on the table just inside the front door or in the covered picnic area. The items needed most are cereal, both hot and cold, tomato products such as canned tomatoes and pasta sauce, and rice sides, so a maximum of 2 pounds, please. And now for our regular activities. The weekly Bible lectionary is every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Contact Pastor John for the Zoom invitation. Sunday fellowship is right after the live stream service at around 11:30. So email fellowship@arkanddove.org to get a Zoom invitation. The crafting group meets on the first Wednesday and third Monday evening of each month at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Amy Tardif has the Zoom invitation for you. And Saturday game night with the deacons, you can get a Zoom invitation from Ellen and Greg Makar. So this week on Meet Ark and Dove, we have with us the host of our fellowship hour, Bren Budge. So I'm really glad you're able to join us, Bren. So welcome to the lobby.
Hi. Yeah, happy to be here.
You know, we've been spending the last couple of weeks getting to know different folks here at Ark and Dove, and I just for folks who don't know you already, how long have you been part of Ark and Dove?
I'm gonna say going on 3 years.
Let's see, and you officially joined, and you were baptized as well as an adult in the church.
Yeah, I was just baptized like let's see, it was before the pandemic, so a couple of years ago.
What made you decide to get baptized as an adult?
For me, it was something I wanted to do because I had gotten to a point where my Christian faith started to feel important to me as a person and part of who I am as a person. And I wanted to make it official in some way. And I had never been baptized before that because I was raised agnostic and never really spent much time in a church. And it was the combination of both my own personal philosophy with my own Christian faith being something that was very significant to me, and also my relationship with Ark and Dove being something that had become a pretty significant part of my life. So I wanted to have a way of kind of formalizing that relationship.
So what then first drew you to Ark and Dove 3 years ago?
I'm gonna say 26 years old at the time, something like that. I had just come out as transgender, and I had started paying attention to the news and started realizing how scary the world can be sometimes. Luckily, around that same time, I happened to meet a family friend who is a Presbyterian pastor on the West Coast. We were stuck together in a hotel for like a week because we were there for a funeral, and we just talked and talked and talked all week. I talked to her about all these, insecurities and fears that I had been going through at the time, and she talked to me about her faith. And it was the first time ever that I had seen the Christian faith as something that could be personal and healing and like real to me. Whereas growing up, I had only seen it at arm's distance, and I had seen a lot of the like uglier side of the Christian church and stuff like that. After that week, I came home and I realized something just clicked into place, and I realized like I'm not gonna be all right. I'm not gonna make it through this if I don't have some kind of backup, somebody telling me that it's going to be all right. And so I started looking around, and I started looking at all the churches nearby. And there was this one church that had a big, I don't know if it was Black Lives Matter at the time, but it was some kind of similar big sign outside. And I said like, well, that seems like a pretty good starting point. And then I looked at your website, and you guys had a little like rainbow flag somewhere on the website, and said like, well, that's probably, about as much assurance as I'm going to get that some place is going to be all right with who I am. And so I started going, and I have to say those first few weeks were terrifying, and it was really cool how well the whole Ark and Dove community came around and was just very accepting, no hesitation, all that.
I have a lot of questions there for you because one of those is the first is that flag on the web page was deliberate, right? To let everybody know that Ark and Dove is welcoming of all people, right? And that's very significant that you saw that and then felt drawn in that way to our
church. It did its job, yeah.
Right, it did its job, exactly. Can you describe for me that first time that you came to Ark and Dove and as Linda Lewis called it, the longest walk from your car to the front door? What was that like?
It was less nerve-wracking to me than it would have been if I was going in cold, because I had that week hanging out with my family friend who is a Presbyterian pastor and getting a feel for her beliefs as a Presbyterian and how accepting she had been of me as a person. And I I figured that if this is a church that is similar kinds of people, they would probably be similarly accepting. Yeah, no, it was incredibly intimidating. It took a lot of energy and nerves to like get into the church. And it didn't help that at this point I was like so freshly out of the closet that Ark and Dove is actually the first community I ever went to that only ever knew me as a girl. So so it was the nerves of not only going into a church for the first time, not only going into a church for the first time as a very publicly, openly queer person, but also going outside as a trans person, as somebody who looks very much like a man wearing women's clothing. All of that, it was a lot. And I have a lot of love for Ark and Dove for making that as positive of an experience as it was.
That's actually wonderful to hear, because that's exactly how Ark and Dove views itself, right? As welcoming of everybody. And we've all gone through that long walk. It's once we get in those doors, we want to feel welcome here.
Yeah.
That's right. You started coming to Ark and Dove right as you were going through sort of your transition. Is that, and I hope I'm using the terminology
You're
right?
using the terminology correctly.
What about did you have a support network outside of Ark and Dove, and how did that work?
Well, I was out to Ark and Dove before I was out to my parents, so I think that's a fairly good metric of where I was out. I would say I had come out for the first time probably 2 or 3 months before coming to Ark and Dove for the first time, and that was me telling my long-term girlfriend, who I had been dating for 7 years, I think, at that point, telling her that I wanted to be a girl, and her being a person who thought at the time that she was straight, that was terrifying. There was never a question of whether she was accepting of me as a person. It was always, what does this mean for our relationship? And we kind of just played it by ear for the first few months and got used to it together. We explored what this meant for us together. Shortly after coming out to her, I came out to my roommate, who we were also living with. So those two people were, I think, the two people who like fully knew my situation prior to Ark and Dove.
As you describe this, there's obviously, you're going through this experience yourself, and then your friends and family around you go through this with you as well, and the community, right? For somebody who has questions, who doesn't quite understand this, what advice would you offer to those people, like who maybe, let's just say, don't know how to process this?
Always just keep your love for that person at the front of your mind, and if you keep that foremost, and you make sure that your love for this person comes before any kind of like societal expectations about what you think they are supposed to be and stuff like that, then you'll probably be fine if you put that first. Ask them questions and work with them on figuring out what it means.
If I'm understanding correctly, for somebody who's trying to process this, don't project your perceptions onto somebody else. Allow them to express themselves. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
There's so much more to you, Bren, as well, right? And for the last year, we've been doing the fellowship hour, and so one very interesting hobby that you have that I'm going to bring up, okay, is it's the miniature figurines that you do, right? Can you share with us what that is, what you do?
Maybe like 6 months or so ago, I got really into making and painting models. I go to the store, I buy model kits of armies because pop culture loves violence. I don't know. I'll buy a few different army sets, and then I'll cut apart the model parts for each of them, and I'll mix and match them together to make new interesting things that are kind of my own unique creation. And then I paint them, and there's a whole slew of cool tricks you can do when you're painting to get like tons of great detail into these little figurines. They don't all have like specific stories written about them, but they all have a specific idea behind them that I was going for.
How many of these have you done?
Enough that my girlfriend is upset at my bank account because of it. I'm gonna guess I have a collection of about 50 that I've made from scratch and painted myself, and then probably about 30 to 50 more that are work in progress that I intend to finish at some point. That's one of my big hobbies lately. Is I just really like making these little miniatures and painting them.
Oh, that's amazing. That looks like a fun hobby.
It is. It's very fun.
Well, Brandon, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story with us and the journey that you've been on. It's been enlightening, and we're so glad that you're here and part of the Ark and Dove community.
I'm very happy to be part of this community as well. Thank you for letting me come on and talk. It's a story I really enjoy telling.
Wonderful. And to you out there, thank you for joining us this week. We want to learn more about our friends at Ark and Dove. If you would like to join us to share a hobby or an interesting story about yourself during our Meet Ark and Dove segment, please email us at worship@arkanddove.org. More details on everything we talked about today can be found in the archive or on the webpage. Stay safe, have a great week, and join Brandon for the Zoom fellowship after the service. The live stream service will begin in a moment.